So I'm very delighted to be with you today. Bonjour. Pour ceux qui parlent en français, nous sommes à l'Institut français. C'est la première fois d'ailleurs que je visite l'Institut français de Prague, mais c'est pas la première fois que je parle dans un institut français. So, my presentation, don't worry, will be in English. The discussion today is going to be about design experience. I probably will be able to tell you a little bit more about me, because what I want is to have a journey with you. It's always great, to be asked, can you tell us about your life, what you have done, your career? This is something I love to do. So I say, yeah, well, no problem. Actually, this came up completely impromptu, and I thought that, why not? So I started my career at Renault after graduating in Paris at the ENSAMA. It's basically one of the national schools of Paris for design and industrial design. And I went straight to the car design. Sincerely, it was not just by the passion of cars. I'm, first of all, a designer. And I have this naivety to think that maybe being a woman, there are not much women in this car industry still today, I will be able to basically change the industry. Cars was not in its great shape when I joined the company Renault in '97. I'm sorry, I get myself much younger. '87. Yeah, well, maybe I should not have said it. But anyway, I worked on a small and mid-sized car, and some of them that are very famous, like Twingos and Clios and Scenics. I actually left Renault in 2000 with the Megane 2, that was my last project there, to move to General Motors in Detroit. That was quite a change. And at Detroit, I was able to be in charge of many aspects of the executive management of design of GM. Basically, I was in charge of the interior, revamping the interior process, as well as being in charge of the advanced design. That was great. Actually, for a person like me that was getting passionate about cars moving forward in the car industry, I ended up to be in charge of concept cars. And concept cars is the most fun place to be when you are a designer. You are working with such level of complexity. You can manage glass, steel, plastic, natural materials, technology. You work with the R&D people that just come up with those crazy ideas of hydroform aluminium, or any kind of memorable plastic technology, and can you do something off of it? That was quite fun. Anyway, I was also in charge. This is something I thought I should show you. I went all the way from a design passionate person all the way to what was the most deeply rooted car designer. I was in charge of the Camaro, and there are nothing more rooted in the American car culture than the Camaro. It's a muscle car. It's definitely a car that did resonate so intensively in the heart of most Americans. And here I am, French, a woman, at GM, designing the most American car. I mean, the most. It has been a wonderful experience. I want to just signal the fact that actually that interior was done also by a French designer. So it's not just a French thing here. It's not because we're in a French institute, but at least I was very proud that we were able actually to come through. And today, it's one of the pride of most people at GM. But the most important thing that I was able to do is to transform GM in the process of advanced design. And what I mean by that is how to move, I would say, an advanced design process and methodology, what we call today design thinking, where you are able to basically get all the actors that have an access to design around the table and start to rethink really the way the car should be built, the way the car should be designed. And that's not generally what you find in the car industry. Most car designers, and I was part of them are stylists, you know. They basically are very focused on the shape and the surface of the car. And they are not really caring much about, you know, engaging quite aggressively with the engineering community to get the car to be transformed for a real benefits for the user. And that's what we end up to be able to do. And the Volt, that was the last one of a long journey of internal concept, was very much, you know, this result of a complete transformation of the car industry, where designers get engaged in the way we basically craft the entire car. What you see in the middle is actually the chassis of the Sequel. It's a full sales vehicle. It's actually being on try as fleet in California. And on the lower left, this has been a Hummer H02 that was basically a photovoltaic powered car. So the reinvention of the automobile really moved me from passionate designer to passionate car designer to something else. When I worked on this reinvention of the automobile, that was the name GM basically called the big program. So I started with the high wire, that was basically a skateboard of full sales technology that enabled any kind of support you can put on the top of the vehicle. To the GM iWire that was designed actually in Italy with some intense exchange with a design and engineering university. All the way to the Chevy Sequel and the Chevy Volt, there were two cars that basically today are on the road in the US as a test fleet. Not for the Volt, because the Volt is actually accessing now Europe and it's on sale, probably very expensive. Very different from the show car, but still a very compelling vehicle when it comes to electrical vehicles. When I did that, I moved even forward toward this kind of research mode, and I worked with the MIT, with Bill Mitchell. He's deceased now, but great man at the Media Lab. And we were able to basically define what was the PUMA project for the city of New York. And that was really getting to another way of looking at cars and extending this discussion, this subject, into something more holistic, more systemic, that was really addressing mobility in a big city. And as you can see, they were kind of a journey that just bring me completely back to the beginning where I was as a designer, is just not looking at designing a nice car and make it look good, but getting and questioning really what is the purpose of car design. And by looking at what was the purpose of car design, I basically have a moment. I basically have changed. Many things actually happens, and maybe I'm going to go through some of those things that would explain the reason I basically have changed. You told that Dassault Systèmes is doing incredible things. I met Bernard Charles, the CEO of Dassault Systèmes, in a plane, a business trip, from Paris to Detroit, one of many. We sat for 8 hours near each other, and 8 hours in a plane, you have to do some things. And we basically talked about design for 8 hours in a row. Yes, we did. Seriously, we did. And we exchanged cards and on the baggage claim. And he said, I absolutely want we continue this conversation. And this conversation did continue for another year, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and so on. And it started to just open up another opportunity for me. This company is just an alien company. It's something bizarre, but something completely, it just blew my mind, the vision. And that's what I'm going to be trying also to explain, but through different other way. This is what we are facing today. And as designer, even when you spend 25 years having fun driving Camaros and Corvette back home, you were burning and gas-guzzling cars, and driving those every day, you have some kind of guilt building up on you. If you are a designer, this is something you cannot avoid. It's just like thinking through the entire system of things. And since I was working on those electrical cars and so on, I was thinking, we should do something. We absolutely need to do something. There's something also that did appear during this journey of design, these last 20 years. If it's still the case where we are just focusing so much on the product, a good product, a good car, a good gene, most of us now are reacting as citizens, as people, to experiences. Actually, the reason I put this one, just to be provocative. I was just coming back from the Abercrombie and Fitch store in Paris, in Champs-Élysées. And I don't know if you have ever seen that. If some of you go to Paris, go there just for the trip, just for the journey, just for the experience. It's amazing. It blows your mind. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's nice. I'm not saying it's beautiful. It's not. It is just something you have to feel, smell, get into your vein. And you smell actually the shop far from the streets. You actually can smell the Abercrombie Fitch fierce perfume, far away from the shop. This is just telling me that there's something happening, that it's required that we just expand the world of design to not just being addressing shape and surface and form, that has been our forte, but we have the responsibility to go much further and engage all our senses, all our, I would say collateral senses, to basically express and be responsible for what is experience. That's why we call ourselves, in the Dassault Design Studio, design experience. That's what we deliver. At the same time, that's what Dassault Systèmes does. Dassault Systèmes says, well, we are the 3D experience company. What does it mean? I will not explain. It takes too long, so I will recommend you go to 3ds.com. You will see everything, but it could be absolutely anything. But there are one thing that we have strongly ingrained, embedded into our philosophy, it's 3D. And what is 3D? For most of us, maybe it could be like going in a cinema and looking at a stereo movie. No, 3D is thinking life in a virtual world or a virtual universe as well it would be in real. And in Dassault Systèmes, we claim we're a scientific company because people could see it as software. Software is just the access to the 3D experience. The 3D experience is getting you into a virtual universe where you will be able to project anything you have, you dream, into a virtual world, and that maybe, if you can simulating it scientifically, you will be able to actually prove this is a right idea, it's a right dream. Why not doing it for real? This is for me the perfect example of sustainability and sustainable design. Is how do you project your best ideas virtually, simulating it, prove that it works, and then you engage the resource, the people, the money, you impact the earth, because this is working. Instead of what we do, we impact and we do all what I was just describing without knowing what we were doing or we are doing. This is a big claim, harmonizing product, nature, and life. When I saw that, when it's being expressed by Bernard, I say, wow, that sounds very much like a design claim, right? That's what we do. This is our forte as designers. But the great thing about Dassault Systèmes, that's what I thought, is maybe they get some interesting way for us to manage. I call it actually the virtual matter. Designers love to sketch and design and so on, and we always like to touch the materials, to twist them, to feel them, to see what we can do with them. And basically in the virtual world, you do the same thing. It's just virtual. This is quite important, and I like to say it. For some of you, it's maybe quite obvious. For some others, you struggle. I was yesterday night in a nice designers' night, talking with designers and exchanging. I know Martin is here somewhere in the room. Martin, he's here. And with Martin, we had a glass of wine, not French. It was actually West Coast, American West Coast wine. And we were kind of intensively realizing, the lack of understanding for still, most enterprise and company about, how important design is. And definitely the expansion of the natural scope of design. So our first role, and that's the way I see it, we should just address the intensification of the innovation. Innovation today, nobody knows what it is. A lot of words are being behind innovation. It could be a service, a product, a user experience, a new business model. It could be any kind of things, but for sure, at any case, at any place, design have a role to play. we definitely see that what's going on right now is going so fast. Most people are focusing about, what's going to happen, in the different geos, and definitely what's happening in China. But whatever it is, the best way for a designer is not really worry about nationalities, but more the change that happens at the social level, the way people interact with each other between their sons and father, mothers and daughter, and vice versa. And then if you go down to the individuality of humanity, the issues that we are just raising in the economic world about China, about Europe, about US is getting very different, because you are focusing at the right level. You are focusing on a social and human level instead of everything else. And this is an incredible level of opportunity for designers, because when you basically sit there, look around, being very close as an ethnologue or anthropologue, looking at what's going on in a society, you basically have absolutely outstanding opportunity to actually change or help the change. And the change starts by, being at the heart of all of what we call the usage transformation. And if you really place yourself right there, doing a car, thinking, my role is to try to find what is the new usage of a car today. And as much as in 89 or 90, it was to do an MPV car for family, when the most family were trying to pack in a 4-door, 3-car cars that was just making the kids pack like that and having, that was the way, people were moving families away. And you say, that's probably not the right way. Kids need to be sit high, actually higher than the front row. They need to see around because they will not be sick. They will be able to see the scenery. Scenic. And then they also will be able to actually enjoy the journey being in a car. That was a success of being addressing a particular need in the society with a car. Today, that's not what we need to do. Not just to copy another MPV. MPV is no more the answer. We have congested city. We need to find about another way to address, mobility. So that's what, being focusing in usage transformation. And because we have to embrace the connectivity and complexity, we also are because we are artists, what we can see is now everything is blurring. It's blurring because we are getting more and more global, and that's a big question, what means to be global and what means to be Czech or French or, British in a mondial world. And what we know for sure is everything is blurring. So when you were designers responsible of the identity of a project, you were responsible of an object called cell phone, and suddenly this cell phone became a device that allow you to go to internet, allow you to do so many other things. You could really question, is it still a phone? Should it still look like a phone? Or is it something else? So this is the question that is being asked to designer right now. It is not just to work within the particular identity of a product that everybody knows. So when I say I'm a car designer, well, I'm not sure, because car is too limited to what I'm supposed to do. So I'm probably a mobility designer. What else? You understand? So these blurred limits is very difficult. We also have to reinvent the way to match what we do with nature. It's quite interesting. I'm from Detroit. I study in Detroit. I spent more than 10 years in Detroit now, almost as much as in Paris, if I take all my childhood away. And what it is for sure is Detroit is a very interesting city. There were 2 million people about, I would say, less than 50 years ago, and now they are just like 500,000. So it is one of those rare cities in the world that is actually shrinking. It's actually getting smaller. And getting smaller, it's not just smaller in a nice way. It does isolate, peoples in the middle of no man's lands. And what is quite interesting is because those houses get, basically abandoned over time, because they were like falling apart, they were coming and getting those houses, pushed away. And now you have, 3 houses alone like a little small village lost in the middle of nowhere, and our surrounding with those big yards that have been just cleaned and natural grass that are just, popping up. The reason I'm telling you that is there are maybe some incredible areas of experiment that designers could have in the future about reinventing a way to basically re-engage nature into cities and get that more into the future. Maybe if we have time, pending of your decision, we will show you, and maybe I will invite David to tell you. Pending of the time, we'll see. I have to run. Well, hybridation, the big thing after MPV has been crossovers, crossovers. Great word. It's called hybridation, I prefer. But this is what we do today. It's when we don't know, we take two things that look quite alike and we put them together. So in terms of ambiguity, you there. Versatility and universal, some way completely antinomic. Getting versatile cars has been for so long the reason of the car design today, and universal that just lead us to global car. Who wants to drive a global car anyway? Nobody. But when it comes to universal, what is quite interesting is what is universal really in a car. Something that I know for sure by using, actually I don't have it in here, but by using my iPhone, is something that should be universal. Is a user interface. That's the only thing I know, because we all human beings, we still have two eyes, nose, fingers. At least there's some kind of universality here. Something that is quite interesting, I love that video because it's so much fun. You see what's happening? Voila. Well, I mean, this is what the aging population could just looks like in the future. How do we will address, the fact that we just all getting old? That's why I believe also virtual world will basically change completely the continuity of our lives. Accompanying us into the aging times. We definitely get more social, social network, getting engaged, getting intensively connected all the time, and this is just accelerating more and more. At the same time, this is very weird. We get more connected. We have 1,000 of friends. I'm sure you all have. And friends you don't know, by the way. That's also quite interesting. And at the same time, every time you go in cities where you see a lot of people, you feel unsafe. I worked also during my GM time on a project called the Urban Tank. It's true. That was a real name. I see people. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah?
I heard about it.
You heard about it. Actually, it came up as a concept car, the GMC something. I forgot his name. My memory is getting... Anyway, Urban Tank. The concept was basically what type of cars people would love to drive in California in the next 10 years. And we opened up to some designers, and what they said is, it should be very safe, very protective. They basically did a safe with 4 wheels on the corners, okay? That's the way they designed it. No, I'm not kidding. Ford did one also. That was, you open the rear door, it was almost like thick like that, and inside you had all of the goodies, Nintendos and software, beers and fridge and so on. And you say like, wow, this is the vision of the future? Get yourself, locked in a safe with 4 wheels to get and see nobody, because your bodies are behind your computer, so who else do you want to see? So that's just crazy, but that's where we're going. So in other way, something that is to me very, very interesting, and that's maybe something we're just scratching the surface of this, is how we can enhance experience and how that experience will enhance the total essence of what we do. And today you still see very much silos in a way we do and think things, If it's physical, it's physical. If it's virtual, it's virtual, And basically it's due to those devices that looks quite dinosaur today. But this is going like super fast. In the future, there will be absolutely no connection, separation. We will be blurring the limit of what we do physically and what we do virtually. Well, we call it augmented augmented reality, but and it's already being captured by marketing. You know, I'm not so keen on marketing, and sorry for marketing people here in the room, but because today it's being seen as, oh, you get a flash code and you get more about my brand. And no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what will be the valuable experience that you deserve, and that will be enhance your real life, your body, by example, extension of your, what is your, data on your health, and how you will connect with the cloud, and how you will keep yourself aware of everything's happening to you, but in a way where you are in control, and in a way where the continuity of all those services between physical and virtual will be completely seamless. Getting outside of your house, going to walk in the street, to go to the doctor, and then go back to work, and take a bike to go to, all those continuities. That's what people are really dreaming of, and that experience probably will be just the way you do it. And you have to do it with class, with elegance, because the purpose of design is enhancing life. You want to make it personal? No, I don't want that car. I want mine, and mine will be different. Actually, big success for Citroën with the DS strategy. And I definitely would like to have my own way of doing innovation and just express myself. This notion of co-creation is just coming so intensively in the mind of everybody. I can tell you again, this is another aspect of things that where we only scratch the surface. It's really about, let the people express their creativity and be themselves. And you know what? Wherever we do. And this is an interesting thing, because as designer, we have to question what's going on. Because for a long time, we were just being established in a position of institutionalized the design, the position of each of the actors in the society, when today the society is going completely broadly to Creative Commons approach. And it does challenge the official designers, when you have so many designers, or everybody claims to be a designer. So we are seeing something coming ahead that is quite interesting. But what I know for sure is wherever you build something, wherever you create, you sketch, you imagine something, they still will be a different. They are the one who do things that works. Sometimes it will not. But what is great is how we should enable the people to basically get them to do things that works. So we have the possibility with 3D printing right now to go quite far in the definition of what we do. But the question here is, and specifically what we think in the studio is, it's not just something who looks like we were imagining, but something that would work. And something that works, it's really something that you have to think completely internally, on its entire with all the generosity of the concept. So that is quite important. This is probably one of the slides I use when I'm just focusing on the automotive user experience. I was talking about this safe, on wheels. This is really also this separation of usage within the car industry. And what you can see is, I bet, you prefer the left than the right if it comes to just being on the back seat. Well, that's an interesting... why not to be in a nice hotel? We just actually came up from a very nice hotel this morning. And I can tell you it's a much more comfortable experience than being on the rear seats of that one. And the car will drive themselves, and many things will be rebought. I didn't want to go and open up that total conversation about robots and how robotics and avatars and extension of our body will just completely redefine the way we live, because 20 minutes? Okay. So, but don't forget, timeless design still around. And be careful on what you've been listening. It's a little bit my little marketing path too, as be careful about being truly empowered to make decision, and specifically when it comes to brands, okay? When brands are just like initiating more fake desire than just real benefits for your life. So, how I'm doing? Good? Perfect. I'm going to give you just a quick glimpse of what we do in the studio. So we are, about 4 years ago, I started to see at Dassault Systèmes, what can I do? I'm going to be very honest with you. I came up, Bernard said, I know I need design. I don't really know what it is, but I think I need it. Okay. So I came. I had my big, large company. I left it behind, take my little suitcase, actually my rolling suitcase, and I said, okay, what I'm going to do? And so I said, okay, I'm going to do a design studio. Sounds so far so good. And then I said, okay, I'm going to walk across the company and look at the labs, and that's exactly what I did. And the labs open up and say, oh, we do this, we do this, we do this. So it was very fun. The 2 first years as a lab, we were basically collecting things across the different, department of research, and we were able to combine a solution called Creative Designer that helps designer to actually use 3D for creation. And what is quite interesting compared to, because you will say, okay, what's new? Okay, 3D software, most designers use them. Well, what was new is CATIA is not a software that is usually used by designer because it's too complicated. That's what they said. But it's definitely just a rocket. Okay, so why not use a rocket when a bike just do the job? Okay, I understand. But I thought, well, at least there are some things within CATIA that designers never touch. Typically simulation or CFD. CFD is aerodynamic testing. Crashing, you do and design a bottle, and you have to let the engineering to tell you if it crashed like that, why not doing it by yourself when you design the shape? You will save a lot of time and energy, and so on. There are many, many aspects to that. And also, it is not about validating your design. It was really about, can I take the power? Can I take the responsibility to really lead the charge and not just being the guys being asked at the end of the chain of many, many meetings? Yes, we have the battle. Please make it look good. Yeah, sure. So I decided that I think we need to do something different for designer, and that's what I'm trying to do. So we do cars, but basically what is quite interesting is we are trying to match, as much as we could, most of the design expertise and talent you can find in the design field, and it's not easy. If you go agencies or if you go in a car company, most designers you find are car designers. They're being trained to be super car stylists. You can find sometime at GM I was able to create two new groups, a graphic design group to do the logos in 3D, and another group that was designing the brand identity features, but from an experience standpoint. And they were basically producing videos, and they were like completely coming from the side compared to the marketing. But basically at the end, they were using our videos coming from that design group for the marketing division. They were using those to brief the agency, the ads agencies. So to me, it is possible to expand in a given core business, the diversity of talent of design. So since there were no designers at Dassault, I started to say, I'm going to take a little bit of each. A transportation designer, a graphic designer, a little bit of... So it is a large, diverse, and I can tell you it's just the beginning, because right now we just combine talent. It works. It's not easy. Even between designers, you put some designers in the same room. It's difficult sometimes to get them understanding how to work together. But the main things that we are focusing on is the user experience. How do we manage to transform the experience that people could have of society today? We use 3D as a language. That means that it's something that we put to a level of mastership. I don't want to go back. Well, I did. It's a picture. I thought you would like to see that very established designer, big table. I'm the master art guy. And then suddenly something happens, Dassault Systèmes came up with this wonderful capacity of doing everything in 3D, and it does completely change the world of design. This is the way it changed. Yes, you can still draw and imagine what you want, but bottom line, everything's the master is becoming the 3D. But the 3D is not bad, because you can make it real. This is a sample of our work we did actually it was done in SolidWorks, and it was a quite nice software. As you can see, we couldn't go far with the surfacing, but it was very nice. Basically, we were developing a system where you put your arms, on both sides, and you were able to actually drive the car only like that. No, nothing in the front, nothing, just nothing. So it scared everybody. Actually, we designed it. We put there, and people say, "There are some nothing. No. Can you put something there? Just I feel better." And no need for dashboard. No need. No engine in front. Nothing. Actually, we can make it work, and that I love it. Every time you do a light, by example, and you have to go to the electrical engineers, and they come back to you and say, after 2 weeks, maybe your lumps, it's too close to this little, bevel there, and you probably need to put maybe 2 more millimeters after 2 weeks. Yeah, sure. This is enabling you to actually design and at the same time project what in the way it looks. So we can also just craft, because we have serious gaming capabilities that allow us to actually play the full journey of a product. You probably know that we also are capable to go really deep in complexity. This is why CATIA is the tool of choice of Frank Gehry, because when it comes to do building, it looks like squares and cubes. But when you start to do curves, and none of those curves looks alike, and when each of the parts of that product is actually an independent and unique part, and you have to connect all those parts, like perfectly tight on close to each other, well, you need to have something super powerful. And when you see that, you say, why we are not using it for many other things? Because people, I think, don't know. Lightweight is going to be a very important element in the future, because our cars are too heavy, our buildings are too consuming. I mean, we have many things around us that is just too heavy. And there are a lot of things we could do with lightweight, and that will require that we change completely the way we think. That's why we are creating a very unified solution. And just the last things, and then I will see where we are with the timing, is the way we work as a design agency or as a studio. We try to work open. That means that even if we are an agency, we don't want to copy the way a design agency works. That means taking a brief, get the project. That's basically what we would like. But our clear vision is to doing as an open service platform where we basically contribute with other designers outside and work together and leveraging actually the best of what any tools can do to basically stay focused on the purpose, focus on the project, and not on the technology or the tools. This is just the way we are capable of illustrating. There are no design agency that could have the capability to do exactly what do probably the most upscale companies. Is you get a design that could be just a very small things, and actually you can go all the way to the most sophisticated tools of validation through virtual reality. Get immerse yourself. Paris is a very good example where we are capable to reproduce Paris in all its age and be immersed into it. And this is just very easy to anyone to make a judgment. So that's the detour, the iterative detour you have to do is you do a little design, then you go to a loop of super sophisticated validation and go back to see something that you can touch and use and feel good with it. And the problem is that big loop is actually engaging so much resource that we need to find another business model for design to access to those capabilities. Because that's the way people will be entertaining cars in the future. They will be able to cars or product or anything. And virtual showroom is actually starting first, and we design sometimes stay behind. So I don't want to spend much time. This is the basic methodology we're using. Something I wanted just to say is this is probably the traditional way of design thinking, analysis, storyboarding, and so on. But what we do, and what is maybe quite unique, is capitalization. Is most of the time when you have a design methodology as a designer, you often get past to the next project and these methodologies restart. And yes, there are some designers who are good and write some books, and you can read those books, Design Thinking from Tim Brown or some of them, but very few. The problem of designers is they don't capitalize their knowledge. And that's the big difference with architect, by example, and definitely the engineering community. And so what we are trying to do is making sure our method, everything we try to engage, will be captured within the logiciel. I use logiciel because I hate software. Software means, okay, it's where and it's soft. Well. Logiciel, logic, brain, intelligence. That's why I prefer the term informatique than digital. But this is some of the discussion. We also do design research, where we imagine the way designers will work in the 21st century. How in the future the desk, the environment of a creative designer would look like, engaging, interaction. Today I mean, designers probably have a Mac. Mac is probably the desk of a designer today, pretty sure. Well, why? I mean, if voice gesture, body gesture will be a way to just, model the virtual matter in the future. Why not? And so this is maybe pushing the envelope, but we actually have one researcher within Design Studio. We work intensively in defining what will be those new way of doing design, including, as you can see in the middle in here, mobile device, natural desktop, touchscreen, and interactive filters, and immersive cave. And these are some samples of the interaction we did. So this is the end of the first part, and I think we already 20 minutes behind, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I probably will take a few questions.
Yeah, I think you all once have questions, because the presentation was really inspirational. I will give opportunity people to react. Maybe some marketing people want to step up for their reputation. Great opportunity. We have microphones, so just raise your hand and I will run to you and give you microphone. So who'll be the first one? Czech designer, Czech marketing guy. No one. No question.
Designers, fine too.
Yes, there's a question. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
I just would like to ask, we are talking, I think, to mainly for designers who are working on their own, and these programs quite cost a lot. Is there any kind of user experience, like the price of these products?
Well, it's not a product, it's a method. Okay? It's not, well, okay, I know there could be confusion about what we do as designer. We are an innovation lab within the Dassault system. It does not mean we already have a ready-made, ready-to-use user experience product. But we intend to. We intend to. We cannot say more about it, but this is a great thing, is you can make things much differently when you are a beta user of that. So we are not only beta user, we are actually prescriptor. We basically script, we basically capture what we do. We then prescript that in a way where our developers can actually understanding it, wireframe, and we started to just getting like some kind of a meta script. And then we have the ability to work iteratively with them, to test it, to just put it back into the system, see what is missing, and so on. So there are not many places where you can match software and design process, we say, or discipline. So that's what we intend to do. It's fresh, huh? We just started a year ago, and it's going to be a long journey. But I believe that there are a lot of possibilities in our hands that are being seen as like video game. Video game is seen for entertainment. Why it's not being used in a general, just a little detour. I worked in Alias when I started in the auto industry. And Alias were coming from the entertainment. They were just using this 3D capability and special effect and visualization for movies. And one day, John Telnack from Ford, it's him, the first guy, and lately Patrick Lequément, that was a good friend of John Telnack at Renault, both of them contact Alias and why you don't use those capacity in the car industry? And they were the guys who were capable to move something from one area to another when nobody else would thought about it before. So that's exactly what we try to do here. Is I believe that the capability of simulation and scientific algorithm method. We work also with architects, to do random algorithm to build, parameter architecture and do parameter that just will redefine the way we build in the future, but in a way that it's being controlled by architecture, not by the constraints of external constraints, I would say. So I believe this is very unique, and it will deliver some solution, but nothing for sale right now.
I just wonder, because, for example, Adobe announced this kind of special way from internet that you can book it, like for 1 day or for a week or something. Is there some way for SolidWorks or Alias in the future?
Yes, SolidWorks, that is Dassault system. Alias is not. Alias is now bought by Autodesk. They don't want to go there, but SolidWorks, CATIA are online product. Yes, you would access all of the goodies of what you get CATIA creative designers, natural sketch in 3D, direct modeling, what I call the creative modeling clay. All those things will be available online. If they are not already, but I don't know. You should talk to the Dassault. Go to the website. They probably get the info.
Thank you.
Okay, we do one last question. Someone, just raise your hand. No one. Okay, please round of applause for Anne for coming. Beautiful presentation.